Welcome to Faces and Aces Las Vegas, a podcast where we share great Vegas stories and talk to the people who make Vegas a great place to visit. On today's episode, we have something really cool planned. We have a Chinese New Year episode. Now, I know that it's a month past the actual Chinese New Year, which happened on February 8th. The reason why we're doing this episode is because Vegas makes such a really big deal out of Chinese New Year. They set out huge floral arrangements. They invite Asian guests from all over the world to come to Vegas to celebrate Chinese New Year. So we found it fitting that we should celebrate it as well, especially since I'm Asian and most Asians celebrate Chinese New Year. So today's guests, and this kind of ties into the new format of the show, what we're trying to do for the show is we want to find a great Vegas story. We're inviting people on to share their stories. And then we're going to try to match those great Vegas stories with a great Vegas interview. So the last time on the show, we had on my friend Kyle, who shared a fantastic Hofbrauhaus story where he got spanked. And then we went out to Vegas and interviewed a waitress who does the spanking at the Hofbrauhaus. This episode, we have on Minji and Marvin from the Kollabcast, and the Kollabcast is the official podcast for Kollaboration. And what Kollaboration is, that's a nonprofit organization that promotes performing arts in the Asian community. We have them coming on to share a couple of really cool Vegas stories. So to match their story, we went out to Vegas and we interviewed Daniel Park, who is an Asian American musician who performs all over the Vegas Strip. So I'm really looking forward to presenting their stories and his interview. Before we get into the rest of the show, I have a couple of shout outs. One of them is to a brand new podcast that joins the Vegas podcasting ranks, and they are the Vegas Bright Podcast. You can find their podcast over at vegasbright.com, or you can find them on Twitter over at vegasbrightsite, BRIGHTSITE. And we welcome you to the podcasting family. We hope you have a really good time doing it. I enjoyed your first episode, and I look forward to hearing many more. Another shout out we want to put out there is to our friend Adam over at the Vegas Fanboy blog and podcast. He's celebrating a couple of milestones. First, he has his 50th podcast episode coming up in about a week. And he's also celebrating his 100,000th view to his blog. Congratulations, buddy. Couldn't be more happy for you. And if you're not familiar with the Vegas Fanboy podcast and blog, Adam is known for being a Vegas low roller. He shows you how to get great Vegas deals and how to maximize your budget in Vegas. So over on his site, he has a link to stuff like great Vegas happy hours or where you can find cheap craps on the Strip. So if you're planning a trip to Vegas, you definitely want to bookmark his site on your phone so that way you can use it as a resource while you're in Vegas. And I also encourage you to go listen to his podcast because he's a good guy and he's funny and he puts out a lot of great information and he has a lot of great interviews. So congratulations to my friend Adam on your terrific milestones. You can find him on Twitter at VegasFanboy, and you can find his website over at vegasfanboy.com. So let's kick off the show with something special, something classy. As part of our Chinese New Year episode, we thought it fitting to actually explain what Chinese New Year is. So we reached out to our Podern family friends over at the Classy Little Podcast and asked them to contribute a brief rundown about the Lunar New Year. Mostly I asked them to contribute because I really enjoy their show and I wanted to share their show with you, the listening audience. Emily and James are two friends who take on a new topic each week. They go into the history of that topic, and then they give you fun facts, and they fill your head with great little tidbits of information. Basically, their show is kind of like a Cliff Notes of pop culture. But rather than describe what their show is, here, let's go ahead and play this for you. Here's Emily and James from the Classy Little Podcast explaining what Chinese New Year is.
Hey, this is Emily.
And this is James.
From the Classy Little Podcast.
Whoop, whoop.
Thanks to Faces and Aces for asking us to do a quick segment for them about Chinese New Year.
Hey.
Woo!
It's already passed.
It's already passed.
Yeah.
It's okay. If you've never listened to our show before, we drink wine and eat cheese, hence the classy, and find a subject every week to talk about. That said, remember this information is coming from two people who really, really, really like their wine.
And their cheese.
Yeah. So, in this mini segment, let's raise our glasses to Chinese New Year.
Cheers.
Cheers. The Chinese followed the lunar solar calendar, and Chinese New Year was celebrated the second new moon after the winter solstice, and it would last 15 days.
I know, right?
That's a hell of a celebration.
15 days of New Year's is a lot of booze.
The traditional Western calendar was brought over by missionaries in the late 1500s, and China adopted it in 1912. They now celebrate the traditional Western New Year's on January 1st, but they kept some of the traditions of Chinese New Year, which is also known as the Spring Festival. In 1949, under the rule of Chinese Communist Party leader Mao Zedong, the government would prohibit citizens from celebrating Chinese New Year. And after Mao's death, it was reinstated as a family holiday, and it's family-oriented, and you're supposed to go home to be with your family, and most businesses and schools have a week-long vacation.
Nice.
I know. And now Chinese New Year is celebrated all over the world in large cities or areas heavily populated with people from China.
Apparently San Francisco has the second largest Chinese New Year's Day parade outside of China. Parades aren't traditionally a Chinese thing, but the immigrants came here and saw us doing it, and they're like, yeah, we could get down with that.
We're down with parades.
Yeah. Well, this year, the Chinese New Year was on February 8th. According to mythology, a monster called Nian would appear at the end of each winter to ravage the Chinese people and eat them. The townsfolk used bright lights, loud noises, and the color red to scare the predator away. That's why you see so many red lanterns and fireworks. The Chinese invented fireworks in the 12th century, making them the first to use explosives in a New Year celebration. Or at all.
Ooh, do you know who brought fireworks to the Western world?
Who?
Marco Polo.
Did he really?
Fun fact, yeah.
Wow. Thanks for all the missing fingers, Marco. People participating in Chinese New Year festivities, they will rigorously clean their homes on the 20th day of the 12th lunar month in preparation. The tidying up is symbolic of starting over fresh for the new year, and some believe that cleaning will sweep away the evil spirits or bad luck associated with the previous year.
Oh, so I will pick up this tradition, and I will only clean my house once a year
Yeah.
in February, so it's already passed, so I will do it next year. I have 11 months to plan.
During the first day of the new year, cleaning the house or washing one's hair is discouraged because it could wash away any good luck. So don't wash your hair or clean your house if you want your good luck to stick around.
Done and done. So the Chinese zodiac isn't like ours, where every 30-day cycle has its own astrological sign. Instead, each year is represented by a different animal. Can you name the only animal that's mythological?
Dragon?
Yeah.
I got it.
Were you looking at my notes?
No, I just know they're all about dragons,
Yeah.
and they don't exist as far as I can tell.
So the animals are rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, goat, monkey, rooster, dog, and pig. And it's believed that you take on the characteristics of the animal from the year you were born. So there's actually a higher rate of birth in the year of the dragon, which is considered the luckiest animal to be born under.
Oh, so Chinese seem to be a very superstitious people.
Yeah, there's a superstition that you'll have bad luck when your Chinese zodiac sign rolls around again every 12 years. So like when you're 12 and 24, and like this year is the year of the monkey, if you're those ages, it's supposed to be bad luck.
A year of bad luck, wow.
Yeah, you kind of have to put up extra precautions. And one of the ways to counteract this is to wear something red given to you by an elder.
Oh, my grandmother made me a sweater when I was 7 that's bright red. And
there you go.
Probably doesn't fit well anymore, but you know, I'm going to wear it.
Yeah, you should. Yeah. If this is your year and you are turning 12 or 24 or 36 or a multiple of 12, your personality traits as a monkey are witty, intelligent, curious, but also mischievous.
Yes, you fling your poop at people.
No, you don't, James.
Well, do you know how they determined the characters in the Zodiac were?
No.
Well, according to folklore, the Order of the Zodiacs was determined by a race orchestrated by a Jade Emperor, where the animals had to cross the river to get to the finish line. The rat finished first because it rode on the naive ox's back. So the ox did all the hard work. A powerful swimmer, the tiger, came in third. The rabbit jumped on rocks to avoid the water and get across. I guess he came in fourth. And they go on and on from there. That's all I have written down. The rest of them finished in A order.
Well, that was the order that I originally said. There is the order of the rat, the ox, the tiger, the rabbit. And after the rabbit comes the dragon. So James, come on, a little bit more digging there. I want to know how the dragon got across.
It flew. It's a dragon, right? They fly?
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
Well, I don't know what its excuse for not winning that race is.
Come on, dragons.
Yeah, seriously. Did you know that Renri, the seventh day of the celebration, is considered the day that all human beings were created?
What?
Yeah, as a result, everyone turns 1 year older on that day. Yeah.
Wait.
It's like a national birthday.
Oh.
It's like, oh, happy birthday. It's my birthday too. And everyone says that across the country.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if it plays out like that. It might be how they celebrate the new year.
So from us at the Classy Little Podcast, thanks Faces and Aces for having us on, and a happy Chinese New Year. Cheers.
Cheers. Hey, welcome to the Classy Little Podcast promo.
We're your hosts. I'm Emily.
And I'm James.
What wine are we drinking this week?
It's just a promo, so I thought we didn't have to drink a bottle of wine.
Well, let's open a bottle just in case.
Okay. Did you bring a cheese to accompany it too?
What cheese pairs well with a promo? Provolone? Parmesan? Pro mozzarella?
Oh, goodness. Well, as you might have guessed, every week we have wine and cheese on our show.
And we pick a different topic for each episode. We find out interesting and quirky aspects of it, including the history, the etiquette,
The controversies and injustices surrounding them.
Okay, we know, James. Everything is terrible. How would you describe it?
It's fun and informative, but not too informative or didactic.
Yeah, but we don't use words like didactic.
No, never. Anyway, you could find us at classylittlepodcast.com.
Or on your podcatcher of choice every Wine Wednesday.
Cheers!
Cheers!
Thank you to Emily and James for doing a much better job of explaining the Lunar New Year than I ever could. If you're a fan of podcasts like I am, please go check out our friends at the Classy Little Podcast. And a special thank you to #PodernFamily. It's not a network, it's not a movement, it's just a bunch of indie podcasts who help each other by promoting each other's shows. So if you're looking for a new podcast to listen to, go to Twitter, check out the #PodernFamily, and there you will find over 100 different podcasts. One of them is guaranteed to be of your liking. For example, one other Podern Family shout out that I'd like to throw out there is to the Geek Yogurt podcast. That's right, Geek Yogurt. And they basically talk about geeky stuff, comic books, movies, TV, geek culture, all that kind of stuff. You can find them over at Twitter at Yogurt Podcast. Okay, first up, we have Minji and Marvin from the Collab Cast. They're going to share some of their strip adventures. And after that, we go straight into our interview with Las Vegas entertainer Daniel Park. Please enjoy. So it's really nice to finally meet you guys. I've been a fan of your show for a while.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
That's so funny when I hear this. I'm like, oh yeah, people listen to our show.
I mean, how would you describe the podcast?
Dive into your feelings with Minji and Marvin.
Well, I mean, the podcast started as an idea because I've been listening to podcasts since 2009. And so I've always wanted to do it as a part of Kollaboration as well. And one of the things that we noticed as a part of Kollaboration, Minji and myself, is we hang out with a lot of people within the community, also doing cool stuff, like either making music or organizing or making art. And when we get together, like after events, we always, go to a bar or a restaurant or something and start talking, and we start getting really impassioned about what we talk about. And it just dawned on me that there's this medium called podcasting that's available. I was able to, put together my rig, my equipment, and convince Minji to, chat for an hour.
Which you already know. You've heard it kicked and screamed. No! I have nothing to say for an hour. Nothing.
Yes.
Nothing.
So I went on Amazon and put together a podcasting rig.
And everyone's really impressed with Marvin's setup. Whenever they come to my house to record, they're like, whoa, this is ultra professional. You guys take this really seriously. And that's what I love about it, because he put so much time and effort into researching and put his own investment into this. And it's honestly not that expensive, right? But it is still really high quality. And so I'm
The whole
super
thing is
proud.
probably
I'm a proud
under
mom.
$500.
Yeah.
I think the most expensive thing is the new mic I bought for Minji, which is a condenser mic because her, if you've noticed between like the first couple episodes till now, her voice goes all over the place. So to keep it from blowing out the mixer every once in a while.
You need a microphone that can
mic.
handle all of my feelings.
The one thing that I did want to get into that I didn't properly do in the beginning, we didn't really talk about collaboration.
Oh, it did not.
Well, tell me about it. Tell me what you do.
Yes, Minji. What is Kollaboration?
Well, Kollaboration is a nonprofit organization, and we are a North America-wide movement to support and connect, discover, elevate Asian American artists. And so we work with artists from dancing, singing, music, poetry, comedy, all the things, backgrounds, and provide a community, a support network, and a platform for them to go do their thing and be amazing and bring some diversity to this crazy world of entertainment that we work in.
Yeah, Minji Chang is the executive director, which means she's the big boss lady.
With a spotty past. This is why, this is what feeds good leaders, is experience and learning from them. Yeah.
And Marvin?
Yeah. You can call me the associate director. I'm basically second in command, I guess. If Minji's the face, I'm the nervous system. I take care of all the more operational things, administrative things that keep us up and running. I also handle a lot of the content creation, like our podcast and our blog. And yeah, I've been part of Kollaboration since 2010, so 2011, I want to say.
Let's jump into it.
Marvin can start.
Yeah, I mean, so Marvin, do you have any fun Vegas stories that you wanted to share with our audience?
I mean, my experience with Vegas started when I was maybe like a kid. So my father works in fabrics and fashion. So he used to go to Vegas all the time for the Magic Show, which is the big like fashion industry expo in Vegas. And so since I was maybe 5 or 7, I used to go to Vegas twice a year with my family. This was back when Vegas was trying to be family friendly, so they had like a lot of arcades and a lot of more family friendly stuff. Now that's kind of, how Vegas started as this den of sin and gambling and excess, and then I think in the 90s it tried to be more like Disneyland, and then now it's kind of
they built roller coasters. They really heavily marketed.
MGM had that, right? MGM had their amusement park and stuff.
Circus.
Oh, Circus.
Yeah.
No, but you're right. MGM had,
too. Yeah.
They had
They had an amusement park inside of the
I went in and I was too scared to go on anything.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I remember MGM first started when you first walked in. It was like the Emerald City.
Mm-hmm.
That was my earliest experiences with Vegas, and so I guess college is when we started doing the more adult stuff with my friends. So when you mentioned Vegas stories, that's the first thing that popped in my head, because everything else, I don't know if there's anything really crazy that I've done.
But I mean, the fun thing about Vegas is you don't necessarily have to participate in crazy. You can be a spectator and just see ridiculous things happen there.
It is a spectacle. I think that's like the overarching theme of Vegas, that everything is a spectacle, not necessarily crazy or sin city type things.
I mean, it can be if you look for it.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But in terms of like going there for fun, I do by like 3 days, 2 nights is like the absolute maximum, because for some reason, if you extend that to one more day, that's when everything goes down. You have your friends who are like, let's just stay a couple of days, I'm feeling hot. And then like the next day, you're like, well, so what happened? Like, oh man, we almost died.
Yeah.
Special times.
Actually, okay, didn't happen to me, but once we actually had to go pick up my friend from the side of the road. Because this is back in college, we were there. I was in the business fraternity, so we had a convention over there in Vegas. I don't know why they thought this would be a great idea, but we all went to Rain for our evening activities. And for people who don't know, Rain is the big nightclub at the Palm, which is off the strip. So to get there, you have to drive. And so after the night of doing what we do, we all went to the Denny's to like grab some late night breakfast. And then one of our friends like went off with a girl, so we just figured he'd be fine, whatever. And then we get a call like, "Hey, I need someone to pick me up. Where are you?" I'm in literally a ditch in the middle of the road.
What the heck?
Like, I guess he got drunk, walked out of the clubs, decided it was a great idea. It's like, I'm going to walk back to my room. It's not that far. It's like a couple blocks.
Oh my
and I fall
god.
asleep on the street.
Oh my god.
Wait, he's walking from the Palms to where?
We were staying at the Riviera. So, I
Okay,
don't know
that's
what
not
he was thinking, but-
the effects of alcohol, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it was a bad idea for sure.
My goodness.
How long did he pass out?
Was probably like an hour. So it shouldn't have been that long because it was the same night. So it wasn't like the next morning he woke up. Like I've never been that drunk in Vegas. Actually, not to brag, but my alcohol tolerance is pretty good. So I've never really been that, but I've always been on the, other side of things.
You get messed up in San Francisco is what happens to you.
So
Yeah. I wish I could drink more, but I get the red flush.
I'm
And
really glad I can't drink.
I get that too, but I can basically I can go on further. The red flush isn't really a sign of me being drunk, although everyone thinks it is. But there's a certain point where it's like the tipping point, right? You either pass out or you power through.
Yeah.
And if I get past that part, I'm good for the entire night. I can go on all night.
FYI, the reason why Asians get red is the lack of alcohol dehydrogenase. It usually signifies an allergy to alcohol. It's not really good for the health to be drinking lots of alcohol.
Thanks, Mom.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's they say evolution. Well, one of the theories is that like the East, we grew up. It's all lack of water. So in Europe, they drank beer and wine. In Asia, we drank tea because we didn't have clean water.
Oh.
So we just, through evolution, didn't have that enzyme to process alcohol the same way white people can. It's turned into a science lesson. We're talking about Vegas, crazy stuff.
Yeah, but just curiously, what about gambling? Do you come from a family of gamblers?
Not really. I've always been kind of averse to gambling, just because losing that much money that quickly scares the shit out of me.
It should.
I like games where I can just sit there for a while. So I'm more of a roulette guy than a blackjack guy. My uncle's a big gambler. He's one of those guys who can play the odds on slot machines. So he'll sit there and watch everyone play.
Yeah.
And then based on how the person before them did, he'll pick the machines that have the higher, quote unquote higher odds of winning.
Right.
And then he's pretty good at that. But in general, my family's not really big on gambling. We're bigger on drinking, to be honest.
Yeah.
I've never won big, so I don't know how that feels like.
The reason why I ask about the gambling is because a few episodes back we had on Dr. Timothy Fong from UCLA, and he researches gambling disorder. Yeah, he was basically saying in the Asian culture, gambling is a huge, huge problem, percentage-wise.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I've known of several families pretty broken or like messed up because of gambling.
I mean, as a culture, we're pretty luck plays a lot into our spirituality, I guess, in terms of there's a lot of fortune when you think about why people go to temples and why people what people pray for and things like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can definitely see that. No, I definitely have seen other people and families, and even if you think about tours that go to there's tours that cater specifically for Chinese tourists or Asian tourists to go to Vegas, and they all promise
fortune beyond compare. You'll be swimming in gold coins.
I mean, there's so I was in Singapore a couple years ago, and there's a big casino there at the Marina Bay Sands. The interesting thing there is they don't allow their own citizens to gamble. They limit it. You can only come a couple times a week for this long, and you can only bring out this much money. But for tourists, gamble as much as you want. And they actually have PSAs that are don't gamble away your family's future and things like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in Vegas during Chinese New Year they go all out.
Yeah,
the Wynn will put out huge, elaborate floral display. You don't see them doing that for Cinco de Mayo or St. Patrick's Day.
I was envisioning Rush Hour 2 right now, where they have the huge scrolls and the dragon.
I mean, gambling's actually a part of the Lunar New Year. I remember when I was a kid. I think I talked about this on the podcast a couple episodes ago, but you know how we get our red envelope money from our elders, and then the next step is to play a dice game with your red envelope money.
Oh, I didn't know that.
With your cousins or friends, and then
now that you got it.
Yeah.
Gamble it.
Wow. Wow. So even as a kid, it's like, all right, kids, here's how you gamble.
Yeah, well, it's a fun thing. Like we
It's like passing out candy cigarettes.
yeah. I can see that. Yeah.
Candy shots. It's like shots with like Kool-Aid or
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me jump over to Minji. Now you grew up in San Francisco. How long have you been? Did you go to Vegas from San Fran?
Yeah, I did. I grew up in the Bay Area my entire life, and I went to UC Berkeley. So that's when a lot of the Vegasing began. My first trip was to the MGM with my family when I was 8. Went in. It was so amazing and huge and terrified me. But then I didn't go back again until I was 21. And since 21, I've gone a lot. I'm like one of those backwards Korean kids that I don't drink, but I like partying, and partying for me means getting dressed up and going dancing. I love clubbing, but now that I'm getting older, like the high heels are starting to really kill me. But no, I love going out and the DJs. I love it. Love the nightlife scene. I'm not a drinker though, and I never really have been. Can't handle my alcohol.
Just,
Well, so I feel like I experienced a very specific niche Vegas experience, which is that of a 20-something-year-old Asian girl with other girls that like to go clubbing. And I feel like I had the right friends at that time because I didn't have to do any work. They really went out of their way to make connections with promoters. We got into a lot of the best nightclubs and the best pool parties and things like that for free. And I didn't need to do anything. I just showed up because they did all the work. And it was, the story has a kind of a twist. So I feel like I've gotten to be very spoiled in a way in Vegas because you show up, you split a suite with your girlfriends, you all get ready, you wear your dresses, and then you get into a nightclub for free. My friends are really beautiful, and so we would kind of go to the front of the line.
That must be nice.
It was. Okay, but there's a twist to this, okay? So we went for Halloween, okay? We went for Halloween, and that's where basically everyone goes to Vegas to essentially be naked. But I think I was like 26, I don't know. But we all went, and it was like, I've had my insecurities about my looks and whatever growing up. But I just felt like, okay, I'm going to be young. I feel wonderful. I've been working out. Like, we're just going to go with this. So the first night, the girls all did different costumes. And of course, they're all some sort of flesh-bearing costume of some sort. I've never done that before. Actually, one time I did, but it was not that scandalous. This was like, you're in Sin City, so you better go there, girl.
Gotta up your game.
Yeah, go big or go home. Don't even.
Yeah.
So this is the issue that I had. So I totally bought into that, and I totally leaned in. And the first night, I was a cave woman, which consisted of a tiny skirt and like a leopard bra thing and whatever. It was the first time I'd ever gone out. I don't think I barely wear like 2-piece bathing suits, so it was a big deal.
It's October, so it's cold.
Yeah, and then so we went out, we partied, and it was fun. And I felt this kind of like liberation and this like new era of me as like a woman embracing my sexuality kind of thing. So it was fun, but I was still uncomfortable, but I was kind of just, again, going with it. The second night, so we got there, that was Friday night. And Friday night was pretty fun. The second night was when we went crazier in a way. We all dressed up as stewardesses, okay? So we had either like 9 or 11 girls. Half of them are from, they're sorority girls, and I have no judgment on sorority girls, but like it was a good looking pack, okay? And we're wearing like slutty.
The kids call it squad now.
I don't call that squad because that is from a different era. But this was the posse, okay? So it's like, mid-20s, Asian females all dressed up in stewardess outfits with various colored bras hanging out of their, unbuttoned whatever, and fishnet stockings, the whole thing. Okay, so looking back, it's a mixed emotion where it's, that was just a fun thing to do as a young person to just, and this is the issue too with Asians, like the issues with sexuality and being fetishized, but also being so conservative. And I grew up Baptist Christian, so there's all layers in that. So this thing where we all dressed up as stewardesses, like in its own way, it's really fun, and like we're all laughing. We're like, oh my God, he looks so good, and just all kind of feeling sassy and sexy and whatnot. well, we're going through the casino, right? So this was like the big moment of like, we're leaving our suite. We're all going to go into the elevator out and walk through the casino. But so the reaction, okay, this is something I'll never forget. The reaction of when we walked in this big group, and it kind of made this flying V inadvertently, but walking through the casino, I mean, a lot of heads turned and a lot of eyes were on us. And there was a lot of appreciation going on, right? And I felt really, really conflicted because on one side, I was really like loving the attention. I'm not going to lie. I felt really like, it felt like you're kind of a superstar, right? Yeah. But at the exact same moment, I felt really uncomfortable and really ashamed. And I was also like judging all these men who were looking at us. And I was like, you're a creeper. What are you looking at? And I was like, I'm young enough to be your daughter, you sicko. Like, I was feeling those feelings too. But like, I'm having like conflicting feelings pretty much simultaneously the entire time. And it was mainly that walk through the casino that I felt really empowered and disempowered at the same time. I felt objectified, but then it was just a weird moment of self-awareness of like, I asked for this. I put this outfit on because I wanted this attention. But now that I have it, it feels gross. I don't like it. There's these, it's not like a bunch of Chris Hemsworth looking guys who are like, hey, baby. You know, and even then it's like, okay, is that the only reason why you're paying attention to me is because my boobs are hanging out kind of feeling?
Right.
It was really conflicting. So it's like this really fun story, but it's really upsetting to me too as a grown adult.
I feel like that guilt is part of it, right? Like, I think it might be part of maybe the way you're like,
that I was raised,
raised and things like that, because that's kind of it's interesting that you said specifically, like, I asked for this, because that's kind of the excuse, let's say excuse people give about, you know, harassment and things like that.
Right, and assault and horrible things.
And, you know, part of I guess you can call it third wave feminism is the fact that, like, you're free to do what you want and not feel that guilt.
Right.
Right.
It's just, and that's the thing, that the whole thing, like, I asked, but like, I hate that because when it comes to domestic violence and abuse and things like that, I don't believe that there's any woman who ever asked to be abused. But in terms of attention, yes, I was asking for the attention. I knew perfectly well, like, if we put this on and we walk together, you know, we look hot. I was, you know, in that way, like, confident. It's like, we look good. But then this is going to attract a specific type of attention. This is going to attract a specific type of whatever, you know, and it was just a really weird moment.
Which is why I had to signal for the dudes to come in and run interference, like, because of me, guys.
I don't know. And then, see, I could talk about this for days because I feel like it's just really the fact that I needed so badly at that point to receive the male gaze or receive gaze in general to feel like I was worth something is, to me, now really sad, because I don't want, and this is different for me, and again, it's always different for you versus like other women, right? Mm-hmm. If it was another woman, I would not want her to do that. For me, I understood it because I was in my own skin and in my own body and in my own feelings to like justify things or rationalize things. But yeah, if it was my daughter, if it was my cousin, like, I would smack her, be like, put some clothes on. You don't need to do that. That's not the measure of your value. Though, and this is where it gets a slippery slope, I think women should have the freedom to be sexual and to be confident in their bodies and to feel good and flaunt things if they feel like it. But it's weird. It's like, it's this weird culture that we live in.
Well, it's interesting. Like, well, no, it's interesting because you just basically walked in and presented a whole bunch of old men with just a fantasy dream. I imagine they saw you guys coming in slow motion with smoke billowing out behind you and doves flying off to the sides.
Basically.
Like, it's this giant group of young, hot Asian women walking into a club. I'm sure they're going to turn a bunch of heads. And I think that you doing that, it's not necessarily you're seeking other people's approval, but it's more along the lines of, you know what, I look good right now and I want to feel confident and comfortable with that. And that's going to attract some attention. I don't think there's any reason to feel guilty about that in any way. You know, right. I know usually you want to seek approval for things that you've done, intelligent things that you said, etc. But if you're also attractive, that's okay too.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. But I think it's also, this is where I could go on for a long time. I agree with you that there's nothing wrong with being attractive, being confident, being okay with that. But also, I think when it comes to females, how much weight that holds in terms of overall value. So you say you take one person and you compare a man to a woman, right? a bulk of a woman's value in this world is based on how she looks, right? And to say that that is such a definitive factor in saying I feel good about myself versus I don't feel good about myself, and that being so much based on how much skin I'm showing or how good I look with XYZ outfit is to me upsetting. And that's a bigger issue that I have, where like a woman's intelligence or her character or, you know, all these other things are minor in comparison to how she looks. And that's just a bigger
And you can say the same about like dudes with like muscles or like money. That's
right. That's different, right? Yeah. And
but
it's not fair.
I think at the same time, like I think you looking like that is not my permission for me to say, oh, you're down with like my sexy man charms or whatever, you know,
or lack thereof.
Yeah.
Or lack.
And I think that's where like that's where the whole you're asking for comes from. Is like, well, if you're dressed like that, why don't you want me to come hit on you?
Right. It's a very slippery slope, and I do, again, at the end of the day, no, you do not have permission to put your hands on me. But it was just a weird moment. And I still think about that because I still, as I'm growing older and becoming actually more comfortable in my own skin, that moment was it was just, there's no way I couldn't kind of be smacked in the face with like this self-awareness of what I was seeking, what I was getting, and how that actually made me feel. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
But in Vegas, that is a 100% Vegas on Halloween night.
Absolutely.
You were dressed 100% appropriately.
Absolutely.
And if you are going to turn a few heads, accept it. Take it in, you know. But now if you're going to church dressed like that, that's a totally different story. Then you're attention seeking in a totally different way. Right.
Yeah. So, and I try to like let myself off the hook. I was having a good time. So overall, the trip was really, really fun. It was just one of those turning points for me as a young woman, because I grew up so insecure about all these ridiculous things and kind of just being like, yo, I don't work it. It's cool. And that's a good feeling too.
Coffee and tea at 7:03. When I'm just waking up and I'm feeling groggy, it's like my feet have stumbled upon this.
We're here with Daniel Park, Las Vegas local, Las Vegas musician. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much, Chris.
I appreciate you coming out.
Of course.
Well, I mean, this is exciting for me because we recently had Chinese New Year go on here in town, and this episode is going to air just a little bit late, like a couple weeks after Chinese New Year.
Yeah. Cool.
And I definitely wanted to get an Asian-themed episode out there because Vegas makes such a big deal out of Asians coming here. You are Korean American?
Korean American.
Second generation?
Actually, first generation. I was adopted. I guess I'm full Korean, so I'm first generation. I was adopted, so I grew up in Albuquerque and
Albuquerque?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
New Mexico. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of the southwest area. So.
Cool. How old were you when you were adopted?
4.5.
Okay. So do you remember anything about Korea?
Kind of just like bits and pieces. I would say it's like it feels like a dream sometimes because I can just remember like little bits and pieces. I remember one time, one of the most distant memories was like gnawing on a octopus leg or something walking down the street, and that's like what then that's all I remember.
Right. And just so people know that you didn't pull an octopus out of the ocean, just start gnawing on it, that's kind of a Korean snack, dried squid. I'm sure people knew that, but you know.
This is the Asian American episode, so like probably be a lot of the Asian food references.
So you were born in Korea, came over to Albuquerque. If you don't mind me asking, were you adopted by Asian parents or Caucasian parents?
Caucasian parents, yeah. And I actually adopted 5 of us. So there was 5 South Korean kids just running around, and
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
They're almost like an Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt kind of deal.
They just, I don't know. Maybe they just really had their heart for South
fantastic people.
Korean kids, yeah.
Oh my God, your parents are awesome.
Yeah.
So what was it like growing up in Albuquerque? Because I can't imagine there's a huge Asian community there.
No, I wouldn't say there's a huge one now. I mean, I didn't really know better back then, but yeah, in high school, I mean, there wasn't a huge amount of, the Asian kids to hang out with. So, most of my friends were Caucasian or Hispanic or whatever. And so, I don't know. Just I think growing up in LA would probably have been a lot different
Right.
situation. I would have had more. I don't remember really having that many like Asian friends, growing up. But I didn't, we didn't really think of ourselves as Asian or like Korean, and we didn't like really focus on that, I guess, because parents are white, and I just grew up and did what every other kid did, and I mean, I think my parents tried. We did go out and eat Korean food, I think when we were really, really young, we did go to like Korean church, and to get some of the culture from that, but I never actually learned Korean. So
oh, you don't speak Korean?
No, I don't.
Me neither.
Well, I think a lot of that, like learning that, it comes from when you're younger and learning,
growing up with it,
immersing yourself in the culture. So you said you didn't really grow up, with other Asians. What about your parents? Did you talk to your parents?
No, they spoke to me in English, and they kicked themselves for it. And then my folks, my brother and I, neither of us speak Korean.
Oh, wow.
So after I grew up, I was in college. My parents adopted a girl, and they spoke nothing but Korean to her at home.
Now
so,
she's like amazing Korean speaker.
Yeah, she's completely
See, that's
fluent,
what I think. I think like languages, I mean, most, I'd say, learned in like the household, or
Yeah, but it's hard not to identify with the Korean culture in one way or another, because it's just right there, literally on your face. So it's interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, but when I look in the mirror, I don't go like, oh, you're super Asian today, or I don't know. I don't know if you do that, but you're just used to it. You're just used to yourself. I don't know. It's just like
look at myself in the mirror and do finger guns and be like, "You're looking Asian today, man." Like,
I feel like Vegas is this really cool like mix of small of the world. It's like the whole world coming together in one place.
And that's one of the things I love about Vegas. You can come here and meet everyone from everywhere else.
Yeah.
It's
really
amazing.
Cool thing. When like I said, like I'm playing shows and stuff. I don't know where people are from. You can't just. But once they start talking, or like they say something like, "Oh, that accent's cool. Where are you from?" And I usually at my shows will ask people like, "Hey, where are you guys from? Where are you from?" And then depending, obviously if they're from America, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm from Boston," or I'm from Seattle," and it's really cool to see that, just a mixture of people from all over the country. But then I get like people from England, people from South Africa, or China, Australia, or China, all over the place. And so it's really cool to see this big group of like mix of people in one room. It's really, really cool.
How would you describe your music?
I would say acoustic rock, and actually releasing a new song, kind of like the Dave Matthews or the John Mayer or the Jack Johnson kind of feel, into kind of more of I would say like modern feel, like indie rock or indie pop kind of sound.
Tell me why you feel this way, why you feel this way, why you gotta walk away. Well, girl, I need to know. I need to know. You told me you were gonna stay, you were gonna stay. You told me you would never leave. Girl, I need to know. I need to know. You left a cigarette burning on.
And you write your own stuff.
Yes.
And you perform that in Vegas?
Uh-huh. I've lived here about 3 years now, and it's been really good. I've played at almost every major casino now, in 3 years, on different stages, on different platforms. And, I love playing music for people, especially, when I can create a vibe that makes sense. So a lot of the casino gigs, I would say it's 99% covers. But the reason why I like it is a few reasons. A lot of times I it's not all about the money. Obviously a lot of these gigs pay great, and so they fund my my lifestyle, which is, I don't know, pretty basic, I would say, but also it's about experience, and it's about teaching myself to just keep on pushing forward, and learning new songs. I have a reason to practice new songs or write new songs. I could play at this next show, like things like that.
Yeah. In terms of expression of yourself, how much of yourself is in your music, would you say?
Finding my voice, I think, takes time, and I was just reading something about that today from Ben Folds from Ben Folds 5.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote this like letter to on Facebook, and I just read it. But part of it is like it takes time to find your voice. It takes experimentation and takes that. So I think I'm still on that journey. And
it takes life experience too. You got to live and see stuff and do stuff and have bad. Well, not all bad, but stuff happen to really get to the soul.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think part of me is afraid to let that out, this is, but I think, slowly but surely I'm letting more of my soul be poured into my music and turn it into what it really is. And so
in terms of writing, what's your favorite to do, the music or the lyrics?
Honestly, music comes very easily to me. So it's way easier for the music. Over time, I think I've gotten to like writing lyrics, but even when I was younger, it was just like, lyrics are, lyrics weren't the main focus, I guess.
Right.
But now I've kind of changed that focus, and because music does come easier, I try to focus on the lyrics and make sure the lyrics are great.
Have you performed in a band?
I have in the past, but I've preferred playing solo just because it's been easier to kind of navigate, and it's easier for me to work harder. I think bands are tougher these days because now you have to battle stuff, especially here in Vegas, with the idea that, DJs are just easier. Like with the band, you have to have a sound guy, you got to have all these extra cables, you got to have load-in gear. It takes so much more time and effort, and
that's a good point. Yeah.
And just to put a show together, sometimes it really works out great. There's some great bands here in Vegas, even local bands, and Vegas being live, one of the best as far as entertainment goes.
Absolutely.
There's a ton of amazing stages and stuff, but there's a ton of work involved with getting a band to sound just great. And then when you're talking about that compared to like just a DJ is so much easier, so I've tried to make myself as easy as far as setting up as a DJ. So I do this thing called looping. It's just a pedal by my feet that I can push, and I can record my guitar live, and it's called looping because it just keeps on repeating over and over again. So I'll play 4 chords or whatever in a certain strumming pattern, and it'll just repeat that over and over again. And then I push another button on there, and then I can slap my guitar and make a beat, and it'll record that, and then I can push an octave pedal, and then make my guitar sound like a bass, so I can create this whole like what they call like a one-man band situation.
Right. A very full sound.
A full sound like a band, but without having a band, and that's what I've been kind of focusing on the last 6 years, I would say, and it's been great. I've had really good success here, I'd say, in Vegas doing that.
Sidewalk guitar, can you help me be a star on the boulevard? I don't have much, but I know your steel strings will bring my song to life tonight. And your wooden frame will take the music from my heart and turn it into a guessing game to play for the people passing by. Will they ask me why are you happy when you're playing outside? They ask why.
Having a big sound, but being a small package, and being able to focus on me.
Yeah, my ringtone is Reggie Watts.
Oh yeah. He's a comedian, but yeah, he does a bunch of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of it's been so encouraging to me lately because I've been doing this for a while. But now, like people like Ed Sheeran, really big looping artist. He's a solo guy, selling out stadiums and stuff like that. So really cool to see that mentality or that kind of act be able to do that.
How do you book your Vegas gigs? And if you don't want to share this, that's fine too. Because
it's fine.
because it's a competitive market.
Sure.
So I don't want to give your secrets away to
for
people.
any
But
Las Vegas musicians out there, I would say, first off, bring something different to the table. Your performance and the way you handle yourself will get you more gigs than you can even imagine, and the best paying, I guess, if you're looking for money.
is there a wealth of opportunity here for performers, would you say, or is it more difficult because everybody comes here because they want to perform?
I would say depends on your mentality. So
Okay.
if you're here to like, I'm gonna play original music and I'm gonna get signed and all that stuff into a big label, I wouldn't say like opportunity is quite there yet, and I think the downtown area is growing into that. But if you can play covers, and you can do them really, really well, and you put your heart and soul into it, and you work hard, then yes, you can do really, really well here. Every casino has lounges or a restaurant or whatnot, and they're great paying gigs for any musician. And not just that is, I'd say, being a professional musician, a lot of just being going above and beyond expectations, I think is something that has made me stand out too. I try to, instead of taking a break a lot of musicians will take a break after 45 minutes and take a break for 15, and I always felt like that made the vibe of the room just change so much that people will be like, well, he's done, or I'm out of here, or whatever. So what I do is just, you know what, I'm just gonna play the whole show straight through. So now that's what's normal for me. I'll do 3 hours straight, or 3.5 hours, or whatnot.
Yeah, because like I was saying before, there are so many performers in Las Vegas, and
Exactly.
I'm just trying to hash out what makes a difference between the guy who's playing in a circle on Fremont Street and the guy who's actually able to sit down in a casino lounge and perform for an audience. So I mean, there's a journey there, and those are the key
Yeah.
components. So I've heard anyway.
Yeah. So no matter how good you sound, or how you like, even on American Idol, like you go to the LA show, but they only know like 2 songs, So being
You
able
ever
to
try out for a reality show?
I did. I was on America's Got Talent
Yeah.
a few years ago. Yeah.
How did it go?
It was okay.
Yeah, it was a fun experience, I'm sure.
Well, there was fun parts about it. So I was living in Austin at the time, so I tried out in Austin because my friend was trying out, and stood in line at like 6 a.m. and didn't actually see. You stand in line for a really long time, and then you sing in front of a producer with you go in a room, like big room, I don't know, like gymnasium size room, in front of one person with a camera, and then you step in this room with 3 other people, and they go like, okay, first person step up and sing 90 seconds of a song.
Yeah.
Okay, second person, third person, and then she'll make everybody leave, and then she'll say, okay, so she made me come back and sing another song or whatever, and then got a call back to sing in front of the judges finally in this big auditorium with thousands of people, and that was great. But then and then they sent me to Vegas. This is before I lived in Vegas, to Vegas week. This is supposed to be the top 100 acts. I don't think they wanted a singer to win, so they kind of pushed out the really good singers out of the show really quickly. That's what I realized, like reality TV is not they just show what they want to show, like, oh, these are the best people, but they don't really show. So they cut out one of my friends who was like an amazing singer. He standing right next to me on a bunch of these shots, and they didn't even show him at all.
Was that what brought you out to Vegas? Was that was that your first exposure to Vegas? Is that what brought you here?
Well, kind of, but ended up moving because a local casino called Red Rock called me up and said, hey, we would like you to play our lounges or something on the weekends.
Did the exposure help?
I don't think so. It was a connection. A friend of mine knew somebody that it was more of that.
Who you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Like, hey, a friend of mine knew somebody that worked there that knew somebody, and like, hey, check out this guy's YouTube videos. So, so it was kind of like that.
And then how long was the journey from Okay, so you started at Red Rock. Oh, so you didn't even have to go up through the performing in the streets or any of that kind of stuff. You started in a casino.
Yeah,
and
so
then
I
built up a
moved
good
here
reputation.
just to play on Fridays and Saturdays at the casino, at a small lounge. But back to the hard work thing, I played 6 hours a night at that lounge. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
6 hours.
6 hours a night. Mm-hmm.
That's
So a lot of people will be like, no, I can't do that. And I said, okay, I'll do it. I need to make it work. And so it was tough.
wow, a 6 hour show twice a week. That's insane.
Yeah, back to back. So it'd be Friday and Saturday.
So the other question that I had, going back to what I was thinking before, you were talking about, I always say it wrong, Ed Sheridan. Is that what the hope and the dream is? Stadium performances?
My overall goal is for people to recognize me for my original music. And I understand what it takes is it's a lot of hard work. And I think it's going to take time and a lot more work as far as writing and recording. And so that was one of the reasons why I moved here, was to really pursue recording. Before that, I'd just travel every week playing live shows. But I realized I need to really sit down and start getting a lot of my songs recorded so people can hear them, And
That's
so
also clever to be here, because we were talking about before, people from all over the world come here. They can see you and spread your music back to where they go. Very clever.
Exactly. It's amazing. So back to that, I can have my CDs out, at all my shows, and and people pick them up whenever I play, so they take it back. Or a lot of it's like I don't have to travel as much because I'm reaching people from all over the world right now, without really having to do that much, But I think the overall goal is for people to recognize me for my own music, and to be able to play shows with sold out shows, that feature my own music. And so that'd be great.
Okay, so then let's get into some of the gigs, some of the fun, Vegas stories. This is your town. You've performed all over town. What are some of the stranger things that you've seen happen while around?
Wow. What have I seen? I mean, drunk people all the time. I've seen people do somersaults while I'm performing, and just just rolling around on the floor. I've seen people throw up, in front of me, oh great, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So just what you expect from drunk people while they're having a good time. So
how long do you think you're gonna stay, keep performing in Las Vegas?
I don't really have plans of moving away. I love it here. I think it's a perfect city for me. I'm kind of involved in being part of the music scene downtown, trying to grow it and build it into a place where emerging artists can grow, and then hopefully help them get to where they want to be as far as musicians. I have a music jam that I put on every other week at this place called the Airstream Park. We have a nice stage, and people can come and play drums. We have drums set up, and a bass, guitar, and so try to do is create a new band every song.
That's cool.
It's kind of like an open mic, but they put their name in a hat or whatever, and whatever instrument they play or sing or whatever, and every song someone picks out a name, and then change out that person accordingly on stage. So it's kind of a cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's usually people that haven't played before, together before. So it's
right.
It's a new experience. You try to coordinate with other people to create something new.
So you're looking to help other people come up too.
Yeah, being a part of the community is very, very important. I always think about the things that I would have liked, being, as a starting musician or as a beginning musician. Where do I go? What do I do? And having those resources available to me would have been amazing. When I thought about it, when I started playing guitar back in high school or something, it would have been amazing to have an open mic night. That's awesome. I'll go to that and perform my songs,
Yeah.
instead of just playing in my bedroom in my house.
Right. Do you have dreams of having your name on one of the big marquees, or has that happened already?
Oh yeah, it's happens.
Has that happened? Did you take,
I
took the picture?
I have right now, even there's at the SLS, there's a big billboard
Yeah,
like
the
right
digital
outside,
billboard.
and digital billboard, and it'll change to my picture, like Sayers Club. There's other places
You
to
took
play.
that picture. Are you like
somebody sent it to me, but yeah, there's
you haven't posed in front of that picture?
on the highway. There's like another digital billboard that I play this other place in the Cosmos sometimes, and yeah, my name will be on there too.
The first time that happened, tell me what was going through your head.
It's just it's a great feeling, like like I don't know how many people are driving and they go, oh, like that's cool, but to see your name on there and it's advertised, like, oh wow, this guy is good enough to be on a billboard, it's that's an amazing feeling. Yeah.
You're closer, I wanna be closer. If I could be closer to you. Just like a blanket, I could keep you warm, or an umbrella, I could shelter you from the storm.
We have a segment called Tip the Player, and what that is, we like to encourage people to make sure they tip everybody who deserves it. Your maids, your valet guys, waitresses, waiters, etc. So in return, we like to ask the locals, do you have a good tip that you can give them? How about someone who wants to move to Las Vegas and enter to do what you do? How do they, what's a good tip for them?
Okay, so like any musician who wants to play music here in town and they're thinking about moving to Vegas, what you do, my tip would be just to go and meet as many musicians, people, anybody as much as possible. That means going out every night, seeing a live musician, finding out where the open mics are, finding out where the showcases are, talking to people. Just be immersed in what you want to do, and surround yourself with the people that are wanting the same things as you. If you want to do something, surround yourself with like-minded people and be a part of that community, meaning give more than you take, meaning go out, and if there's not something created like that could help other people out, create it. Meaning for me, like for as being a musician, creating more opportunities for my fellow like-minded musicians to be able to perform, and I think that's the tip. Is something's not there, be a leader and create something.
How big of YouTube and social media is a part of what you do?
I try to do something every day on a social media platform. So Instagram, I'll try to put a picture up. I think it's easy to get just caught up in social media and let that consume you, and just be, and it cannot actually stop you from being a creator, because you could just be like, oh, I'm just on social media a lot and talking to people like how cool this is or how awesome this is, but I think sometimes it can take away from the creative process.
That's one of the challenges, because as a performer, you have to not only perform, but you're booking your own gigs. You have to promote yourself. I mean, you have to wear several different hats to be successful.
Definitely.
So it takes a lot of hustle to do it.
It's hustling, yeah. I try not to let it consume me, but I do believe it's important from the promotional and letting people know what I'm up to and being part of my story. And
as well as your YouTube video was your business card to get a job out here. So
yeah. Definitely, yeah.
Well, speaking of social media, where can people find you and find your music and for that matter, book you for a gig?
Sure. You can find me at the easiest place for all that stuff would be www.danielparkmusic.com. Has links to my YouTube, Facebook, Instagram,
Twitter.
Everything. Yeah, and you can click on contact. You can,
which is what I did. That's how I got a hold of you.
Yeah, exactly. It's easy. I have a little sign up form if you're about like booking. I have a little, so yeah, I try to make it pretty easy.
Yeah. if you want to book Daniel for a gig, there's not a lot of red tape to go through. You're not working through managers, agents, and all that stuff. You're going to get a hold of him, and you know that when he responds to you, you'll get a response, and you'll get a wonderful performance.
Yeah, I try to be as quick as possible. If I'm doing it, most of that stuff myself, it's I can't get to every email right away, but I will do my best. I really try to keep communication is, I think, very important to keep my career alive.
But yeah, I definitely wanted to make sure that information gets out there. Well,
Cool.
Well, also. We can find anyone who's interested. You've heard some of the music playing underneath this interview. You could find his stuff over at iTunes. Where else can they buy your music?
Actually, on my website, if you're interested, I have a new subscription model. So I just did in February like a thing of acoustically sung love songs for like February, as far as Valentine's or whatever. But it's $3 a month, and it's on this other platform called Bands in Town. There's a link on my says at the top of it says like get all my music for $3. But for $3 a month, I'm coming out with new music all the time, or maybe it's covers, or sometimes I'll just throw in some live covers, or sometimes I'll record my shows. And so what's cool is you will get like properly recorded music from the studio and stuff on that also, and you'll probably get it first. I'm trying to make this cool like fan-based program where my fans will be able to get everything that I've ever recorded and everything that I record in the future all in just this one easy package, instead of having to like, I got to download this new album or whatever. You'll just automatically get it if you just subscribe on that. I think it's a really cool way to think about it. But yeah, anyways, I do have stuff on Spotify, on iTunes, and all those things. But I think this new kind of idea is really cool, because every month I'll be coming out with something, and you won't know what it is. Sometimes it'll be a brand new song, and so that's kind of what I'm focusing on, is to just put out great material on a regular basis, kind of like in a podcast way, but in a really cool format, I think.
Yeah. How often is it every week you get new material, or is it more?
No, I think it's once a month. So
okay.
It'll either be one song, sometimes it's a collection of songs, sometimes
as well as constant access to your entire music library.
Exactly. So anytime you subscribe, it'll be anything that's backlogged also you'll have access to. Yeah.
That's super cool. Man, thanks for coming out and hanging out and talking Vegas, talking music, talking Korean.
Right. Korean food. And the bibimbap and the
yeah.
I should go get lunch after this.
Yeah, dude. If I could, I have a 2:00. Do you know? Well, let's wrap this up real quick. All right. So thanks for coming in. I really appreciate it, man. Anytime you're out in LA, give me a call. Go get some like serious Korean food, like the good stuff. Well, you go out there, you know where the good stuff is.
I know the places.
Okay, well, then you have to show me where the good stuff is here, because I don't. So I'm gonna hit you up next time I come here with my wife.
Yeah, for sure.
And you tell me where to go.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of your heart. This life is rough, this life is tough, and it will bring you down. So keep marching on, marching on, marching on to the sound.
And that's going to do it for another episode of Faces and Aces Las Vegas. I'd like to thank all of my guests this episode, the Classy Little Podcast, for giving us such a great explanation of what Chinese New Year is. You can find their podcast over at their website, classylittlepodcast.com. Thanks to Minji and Marvin from the Kollabcast for coming on and sharing some great stories. You can find out more about their organization, Kollaboration, over at their website, kollaboration.org, spelled Kollaboration. And thank you to Daniel Park for hanging out, talking a little bit of music in Vegas. The best way to find his music and upcoming concert dates is over at his website, danielparkmusic.com. Also, you can find everyone's information. I'll provide links in the show notes over at our website, facesandaceslv.com. Thanks everyone for downloading and listening. It means so much. Thank you for your support. And remember, what happens in Vegas ends up on this podcast.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.
Wait a second, man.
What?
We can't go in there like this.
Why?
We got to look fly.
What's mean fly?
We got to Mac out, man. We can't go in there like this.
What does mean Mac out?
Follow me, my agent brother. I'll show you. Come on.
Go.